Hey everybody, it's Zach. Welcome back to the Heroverse. And guys, I just got done with Stargirl Season 3, Episode 5, called The Thief, or I guess you could say Chapter 5, called The Thief. What a great episode. I just want to start off this video by saying thank you for everybody that came into my Stargirl Season 3 pre-show live for Episode 5. I love doing those pre-show lives with you guys. What a turnout. We had 18 people in the chat that viewed the video and that was in the chat. I really do appreciate that. It's growing each and every week. Every time Stargirl comes on, it seems to be that we're growing a bigger and bigger following for Stargirl. So I just want to say thank you yet again for everybody that was in there. We had some great topics, whether it be about, Stargirl, whether it be about All-American, whether it be about, Marvel, DC, whatever. We just had some great topics to talk about, mainly about Stargirl in this episode. And, you guys were asking me, what was I, how big, what was I expecting to see? How big was my expectations for this episode? And I said pretty damn big, because in this episode, from we saw from the promo, is that pretty much Sylvester is unhinged and there's something wrong there. We're not quite sure if it is the result of the cosmic staff, bringing him back to life with all that cosmic energy, or it's the fact of maybe someone else is behind him coming to life and or bringing him back from the dead, which my theory is it's possibly Mr. Bones. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to wait and see as we keep going forward in the series, or he might just have a little bit of, an anger issue. But I feel like it's too soon to tell. I feel like maybe we'll see more as we go on, or maybe it's just a thing that Sylvester's always had, and he's trying to adapt to being a role model for the new JSA team and all these kids that are taking over the JSA team. But we start out this episode, which is called The Thief, with, of course, we start out with Cindy, and she is at the wreckage of the Gambler's trailer, and that we get to see her find the computer. We get to see her when she gets there, finds the computer, she hides it, and the reason the gun goes off is because her arm is acting up. And, and we didn't really get an explanation on when she said in the previous episode, which I think it was I forget what episode it was when, I think it was the second episode, I think, if I'm correct, or the end of the first episode. But it was the second episode when she was explaining about why the gun went off, or if the gun just happened to go off. But it was the fact of her arm is all messed up, and we still don't know what's going on with Cindy at all. We don't know why she wants to do research on the Gambler's computer. We don't know why her arm is acting up. We don't know why she's essentially turning into the Dragon King, or I guess you could say the Dragon Queen, which we get that title in this episode. We get somebody calling Cindy the Dragon Queen, and it was just very interesting to me that we still don't know what's going on with Cindy and why she wanted to get into the Gambler's computer. And we just get the perspective of we end up getting her arm being messed up. The shot goes off. We have Yolanda, Rick, of course, and we have Beth, and of course we have Courtney all rushing in because they hear a gunshot, and then that's when they see Cindy at the site after Cindy hides the computer, and just because that's what she was looking for, because she's trying to get into files, but we know about her father, but we're not quite sure why yet. And that was just very interesting to me that we got that perspective from Cindy, and when she came to the Gamblers, to the site of where he died and trying to find his computer, but yet we don't know why she needs the computer, besides the fact I think that there's something wrong with her and she needs some sort of information in there so maybe she can reverse the effects that are happening to her of her turning into her father, essentially. But I love how, we cut to right now, we see Courtney, and we see, of course, Cameron, and Cameron's walking Courtney back to her house after they kissed at that, I think it's at the gazebo or whatever, if I'm correct. And, that was very interesting to me that, I guess that was a really, kind of a weird moment when he was walking her home. Again, I've said this before, I'm not a fan of the whole Cameron and, Courtney's, dating thing. I just never liked it. I never liked the dynamic of the love interest for her was Cameron. I just don't really like that character, especially him being the spawn of Jordan. I'm not down with it. And, so, that scene where, he's walking her home, he ends up kissing her. Courtney says, "Oh, you're good at that." That was cringy. I kind of cringed a little bit. The way she's like, "You're good at that." I was like, yes. Oh. And he's like, "Oh, you make me," I forget what he said, but it reminded me a lot of Twilight when he's like, "Oh, you make me feel safe or controlled," or blah, 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 blah. It felt very Twilight-ish, the lines there. I was kind of like, ooh, I'm not down with this. But then again, I feel like it's just for the fact that I don't like them. I don't ship them. So that might be why I feel a type of way. But let me know if you guys felt like cringy feelings right there. But he leaves, she goes in, and right away, like, Barb is doing something. Mike is at Jakeem's house, and Pat's the only one that's home, and says, "Oh, like, oh, aren't you gonna ask?" Like, she's like, "Oh, what's for dinner?" And he's like, "Oh, like, no one's home, so I didn't make dinner." And he's like, "Hold on a minute, like, where have you been or whatever?" And she's like, "Just out there, whatever." And he's like, "You're not gonna ask what's going on with the team?" And she's like, "Oh no, well, Sylvester took the staff, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, he's got it. It's okay. It's all good. I have homework I gotta do." And she's just acting awkward. She doesn't want to tell Pat that she is hanging out with Cameron, which, because Pat and everybody else that she would tell would say, "You're insane for that. That's a terrible idea." Because again, you and essentially everybody else, a part of the JSA team, is the reason that Jordan died. So it's a terrible idea. And the fact that you're getting close to him and him finding out who you are, and then him finding out that you're the reason that his father is dead, it's just a disaster waiting to happen. It's literally like playing with a lighter around fireworks. That's how bad it is. And she's pretty much acting weird. Of course, Pat realizes that. And of course we cut to, of course, Rick, Yolanda, and of course Sylvester. They're down in the tunnels underneath Blue Valley. They came across the JSA layer, but they're in Justice Society layer. But what was really interesting to me is that when Cindy was down there, she was still trying to figure out how to get into the gambler's computer. But then she found out, oh my god, like, what am I doing? I could just use your device to break into your computer. If anything's gonna break it, it's your device that can crack people's codes and things. And I was thinking to myself, you just spent like 4 other episodes trying to figure out how to get in this computer, and you're realizing just now that you had that device right next to you. That was kind of crappy writing on their behalf, because I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, you guys didn't know that you had a device that could have broken into his stuff. I was like, how does that make any sense that you're now just using it? But I was like, okay, whatever. She might have just got it. I don't know. Or maybe just realized that, I could just use your device to crack your device. But, she got out of there right before Rick, Yolanda, and of course Sylvester walked up in there. By the way, I love Sylvester's costume. It's the same exact costume from what I can tell, but I would really love a cosplay of that, same as I would love a cosplay of the Hour Man costume. I think that's just fire. Those might be cosplays I'm maybe going to, look into, maybe. I don't think they do those suits yet, but maybe as the show keeps going, people will make those suits, because I would totally rock those suits. But, he just gets unhinged. He's like, they're laughing at me. Even though they're gone, they're laughing at me. And he says, there's something big here, and I feel like somebody was here, and the more we pull on this string, the bigger the outcome will be. Like, we're heading to something big, like a bigger threat. He's like, we're getting close, and we're pulling the thread, and I feel like we're getting to something big. And he's like, they're laughing at me. And someone really did, someone really, wanted everybody, wanted us to not know and not catch on to them that they're doing something. Meaning that he's catching on to the fact of people setting up about Cindy setting up the Crocs, essentially, of the Crocs, the gambler, you pretty much what's the word, what is it? Blackmailed the Crocs, and hence and took money from them and stuff like that, and then that's why the reason that they would want to kill them. Just setting up people. Sylvester's catching on to it, but he's so angry, and he ends up pretty much lighting the whole mural on fire. And the fact that he's like, when he found out that was their lair, he was just so angry about that, and so angry at the fact that people are that all this is happening, and that they're laughing at him because he can't figure out who's behind everything, and he's just upset. And that's just him being unhinged. But I feel like, again, I said in my live stream, my pre-show live, saying he has a reason for that. Unlike Courtney, that's giving all these other villains a chance, which now that Sylvester is, it's kind of like she needs that, everybody needs to understand that he's going to be like that and be upset like that, because, again, the Injustice Society took away his family. The Injustice Society didn't take anybody away from Courtney. If Courtney had the same experience that Sylvester had, she'd be the same exact way. So it's kind of like, I was kind of like, oh my god, yeah, he is losing his ship. I was like, he has a reason to. It wasn't just the way they were showing it in the promo for this episode. It's actually, he has a reason for being like that. And we get this nice touching moment between, Barb and between, Sylvester, where he's sitting in the kitchen and he's kind of trying to, he can't go to bed. And he's polishing, silverware to ease his mind and to think about things and think about, oh, damn, I can't believe I lost my cool around those kids. I need to be a role model. Pat told me I needed to be a role model for these kids. And it's kind of I never thought I'd have kids, essentially. And it's kind of essentially, I do. You know what I mean? And it was the cool dynamic of Barb saying, I didn't think I'd have a son. And I do. And, she got really emotional, and she's like, I'm super, super grateful and happy that, I have a son and I can call Mike my son. And I was like, damn, that, again, Amy's smart. damn, she really knows how to bring emotion. And I really feel for Barb's character, and I really just loved that kind of touching moment, as like she was kind of like she was like connecting with Sylvester. I loved that about how he never had kids, but now he kind of does, and then he does, and like Sylvester's not quite sure how to be a role model and how to like set an example, and she's like, I didn't know really how to do that either. I never, I just thought it was gonna be me and Courtney until Pat and Mike came along, and it's like, and it was bringing in I was bringing in a son, and I was bringing in Pat, and it's kind of like, I'm really happy that they're in my live, and I can and I can call Mike my son. And that was a real, like, she was at the brink of tears. I felt some type of way when that scene happened. I loved that sequence. And then of course from there we get a whole bunch of different stuff. We get, it's the morning, I guess, right? I think, if I'm correct, and we get a lot of stuff between Mike and between Jakeem. And again, I've said in my live stream saying, Mike and Jakeem, they're kind of like on their own side mission right now. They're kind of on their own DLC. They're trying to figure out who is behind, the killings in Blue Valley. And he's upset that he's not a part of the JSA, and people are excluding him. And it's kind of like he wants to be a part of the JSA, but he wants to make his own group because they're not accepting him. And they think of him, and he thinks that everybody thinks of them as a joke, and that they're just kids, and that they can't be a part of the JSA. So he wants to make his own team. So pretty much Mike is pretty much trying to find his own. He's trying to like show people that he can, be an asset. He can, what's the word? He can help out, essentially. He can just as much help out as everybody else can. And he's pretty much trying to convince Jakeem, oh yeah, we can do this. But it's not until after the conversation that, Sylvester and Mike have, where it's like, Mike's like, oh, where are the frosted wheats or whatever? And he's like, oh, it's I organized, and he's like, that doesn't help at all. And he's like, oh, it's like to the left of it's to the left of whatever, and it's up on the right or whatever, or it's up on the left or whatever he said. And I loved the moment where he's like, you don't like me very much. He's like, oh, like, why? Because you're a part of the JSA? And like, or was like, and he's like, oh, I forget what happened. He's like, you don't like me very much, or whatever. He's like, it's because I'm a part of the JSA. He's like, oh no, that's not why at all, or whatever. And he's like, okay, look, I used to be where you were, where people used to undermine me and tell me I couldn't do things when I was the Star-Spangled Kid, and people said I had no right to be doing the things I was doing, but I just did those, and I found a way to help and stuff, and I showed people that I could help, and pretty much gave Mike enough confidence to be like, you know what, I need to just do it. I need to stop saying that, oh, people are looking at me some sort of way, and just prove to people that I can be an asset and I can help out. And that will show people, like how Sylvester did, and he got the respect from everybody. So I love how he was convincing Jakeem, like, oh, Sylvester wants us to do more research. There isn't like, oh, since Dragon King's not down in the tunnels, and that led to a dead end where he wasn't down in the tunnels. It's like, no, we can't stop. We got to keep trying to figure it out. And I think I have an idea. And it's recruiting Cindy, which I thought was really funny because, as we know, Cindy is really not really a part of the JSA because they're kind of like excluding her. So like they approach Cindy with a plan saying, oh, a woman with your talents needs to be known and whatever. And he's like, and then Jakeem's like, oh, you need to be worshipped or whatever. And that was just very funny. And I was like, that's too far, bro. That's too far. And she just thought it was cute. She's like, no, but I thought this was, she's like, no, it's cute though, but no. And I just thought she did it she's like, but nicely, no. I just loved how Cindy approached it. You can really tell that she's trying, regardless of what Yolanda and Rick think, she's really trying. And it upsets me that she feels like she can't go to even Courtney, which she had a moment with Courtney in this episode when they were sitting at the lab table. And right away at this point where she didn't tell, again, Pat, like she just left the house without even having a care in the world, that Sylvester, for to go to school, and not having, and when it was breakfast time, and after like Sylvester gave the pep talk to Mike, and we have Barbara and Pat come into the room, and pretty much Pat's like Pat told, like, I guess, Pat said, oh, Sylvester, you have anything to update Courtney on? And then that's when Sylvester's like, oh, I'm going to be, Dragon King has other layers. I'm going to be going somewhere, but I can wait for you after school. And she's like, oh, no, you got this. Oh, I'm going to be okay. You know what I mean? Or bye or whatever. And she didn't even want to eat breakfast and stuff. And she just wanted to leave. Pat knew right then and there that there is something wrong, that she's just not invested, not focused at all. And what's going on with somebody killing somebody around Blue Valley, and her just not wanting to be Stargirl right now, and her wanting to just be a teenage girl. And he finds that weird because Courtney's never been like that, where she's always put this, like, she balanced it out very well, but there wasn't for her, there wasn't like a full on, I want to be a teenage girl until she had that moment with Cameron and they kissed. She realizes at this point, it's like, oh my God, I actually really want to fully be a teenage girl and have this relationship. And since Sylvester is kind of has the handle on things and he's here, I might as well use that opportunity where he can do all this Starman stuff and I don't have to be Stargirl, and I can actually be a teenage girl, do my homework, go out to dates, have a boyfriend. It's like she's realizing that is an option for her now, but it's distracting her, and like Pat is like catching up on that. And I love that, Mike and Jakeem are trying to figure out their own way of doing things, and they like, I guess they said that's not going to work. So, and I love when Mike's like, there's perks to you being a part of our team, Cindy, or there's perks, and she doesn't care, and he tries, like, and then Jakeem's like, I thought we were going to make a team or whatever, and then that's when they come across these bullies, and that's when, Mike kind of says to Jakeem, like, oh, like, don't you wish that these dudes were nicer to us? And he's like, and Jakeem's like, yeah, I wish they were nicer to us. And I thought it worked where they were going to be nice to them, to Mike and Jakeem, these bullies, but they were like, oh no, please give us your lunch money or I'm going to have to punch you in your nice face. And it's like, again, you have to be specific with the Thunderbolt, or it just doesn't work the way you want it to, which we saw with the keys falling out of the boys' bathroom, which we saw with the writing on the wall and it didn't say the right thing. It's like, you got to be specific on when you use the Thunderbolt pen. And, again, when the moment where we have Cindy and Courtney is wanting to talk to Cindy about, her having a boyfriend, essentially, and her wanting to know more about, Cameron, it's like right away, like Cindy's like, oh, you guys would be a cute, or I like the idea of you guys being together. And then like Courtney's like, yeah, I do too. Meaning she wanted someone to tell her like how it is, but also somebody that she knew that wouldn't say the thing that she didn't want to hear. That's why she didn't tell Yolanda. Because I was thinking, like, because even like Cindy says, well, why are you like, I know you're the only nice one that like, well, like the only nice one that, that will talk to me. But like, why are you telling me this and not telling the cat girl or whatever? And even she doesn't even like have the nerve to say Yolanda's name. She just says, why aren't you telling the cat girl? And it's kind of like, I was saying the same. I was like, kind of saying the same thing. Like, why aren't you talking to Yolanda? But I was like, Yolanda and Rick and everybody else would say you're insane for doing this. And Cindy's not going to be the one to tell you that. You know what I mean? But, she ends up telling her that after she has a conversation with Cameron, saying like, oh, I'm just looking out for, for my girl Court or whatever. We're friends now. And then, and then I think Cameron's like, oh, that's like, really? And she's like, yeah, we're friends now. People can change. And she's like, I just want to see if you changed. Remember when you were between second and third grade, and and you got sent to this facility, your art camp, and but it was a facility, and you were in this padded room, and you had an obsession or whatever about your mom or whatever, and instantly I thought right away to when somebody said in the live stream, when they said that they didn't like how they were making Cameron out to be like some sort of stalker of Courtney and someone that was obsessed with Courtney. I'm kind of seeing what the writers are putting down, where it's like he might have, an issue. You know what I mean? He might have an obsession issue and an anger issue. That's why he was sent to that place, but between second and third grade. And that might be why he had a snow globe with Courtney in it. Everything's kind of adding up where it's like, I don't see this going well. And Cindy was looking after Courtney, confronting Cameron about it. But Cameron, she did that to see if Cameron's eyes were going to turn white or not. Because apparently his grandparents, or his grandma's eyes, I guess, turned white when they threatened Cindy, or Cindy like threatened them or went in front of them or whatever. And she just wanted to see if he had the powers as well. And he does, and she's kind of like, you need to stay away from him. This is only going to go one way. There's only one outcome that this is going to lead to, and it's that he's going to find out that you are the reason, that your team is the reason that his father's dead, and essentially he's going to want to come after you guys. And I've been saying that is that there is no good way this is going to end, where it's a lose-lose situation. He finds, like, you tell him, and his grandparents are already like, manipulated him, thinking that his father was trying to do good, and you guys were the real monsters that took him out and stopped him from reaching his mission. And it's like, if you don't tell him, he's still gonna find out, and he's still kind of like isn't gonna trust you because you've been lying to him. It's like, it's a lose-lose situation. And Cindy is right, where it's like, you thought Cindy wasn't gonna tell you what's up until that moment when she found out that he had powers, and you know what I mean. and wanted to tell you about that to make sure that you were safe. That's why Cindy pushed him to say that stuff about his mother and about him being in that, facility, to see if he had the inherited like the abilities that gets passed down in his family. And she already knew that, and she's like, you already know this, and yet you're still trying to like save this kid when he can't be saved, and this is only going to end one way. And I'm just so glad that Cindy said how it is that Cindy's even looking out for Courtney. Same as how Yolanda and Rick were looking out for Courtney at the moment where Cameron came up to the table earlier in the episode, and he wanted essentially like, to sit with them, and then and I forget, he's like Rick's like, can't you see we're in the middle of a conversation here? And then he's like, Cameron's like, what's your problem? And then Rick's like, I'm looking at it. And right away, Courtney wasn't having it. I knew right away that this was going to be a problem, where I didn't like how Courtney wasn't focused in this episode. I was like, you're really putting your guard down with someone you barely know. Again, you just came to school here. Last year was summer school, so this is your second year in Blue Valley and in the school. You barely know this kid. It's like your first time actually hanging out with this kid. So you saying you know him and you getting angry at your technically your team, but not technically more than your team, a family, and you're lashing out at Rick in the moment where, like, they're trying to get you to pay attention to the fact of, hey, we're trying to tell you what's going on with Sylvester. Like, Sylvester's cool and all, that's what Yolanda said, but you need to focus or whatever. And then Rick's like, he has a temper. And Courtney's like, and you don't? That hit hard for me. I felt bad for Cameron. It's like, you don't understand where... I was like, you had no right to say that to him. Like, look at what Rick's life is. Look at what it was. How he had, I think, an uncle that didn't like him at all. That blames... that blames Rick for him not being able to achieve his dreams that he wanted to do and everything like that, and just didn't, to thought of Rick as trash, essentially. How the uncle left, last season because of, Rick, because of what Eclipso did and all that stuff. So it's kind of like, and we don't know what's been going down. Like, he's probably hit Rick and all that, done all that shit before. It's like, you don't understand. You don't have the nerve saying, and you don't have a temper. It's like, also, he's trying to protect you. You're his family. This is his first ever actual family. He didn't get to experience that with his mom or dad. He had his uncle that, would say rude shit to him, saying he was going to go nowhere, and was not an uncle at all. Was just someone that just treated him like shit. So she had no right to be saying that shit to Rick. I hope she apologizes, because that was fucked. But then again, again, Rick has the right to be doing that, because again, also, he doesn't trust Cameron, because again, he knows that Cameron is the spawn of Jordan. So it's like, it makes sense all around here that, just because you can put your guard down doesn't mean that people that actually want to think straight and actually like are in go mode, fight mode, where they want to protect everybody and protect the only family that they really have right here. It's like, you need to understand that, because even Yolanda, her family doesn't really like her, and that's what she considers the JSA her family. And just because, you everything's going good in your family, and you're having a boyfriend now and all that stuff, and you think that Cameron can change, it's like, no, you need to not just think about yourself and think about, you being fine with your family, but think about how they're going to feel if something happens to you. You know what I mean? It's like Courtney's just not thinking right now, and that really pissed me off when she was getting all angry at Rick and getting all angry at Yolanda, when Yolanda's like, he cannot be at this table, we don't trust him, and she's like, we're the JSA, aren't we supposed to help people? And just gets up and leaves. Beth feels bad, but Beth's kind of like agreeing with the fact of like, they're kind of right or whatever, but she's kind of like wanting to hear Courtney out. But Courtney's doing one-sided bullshit. Courtney's lying to them about how he has his abilities, and they're finding out from Cindy in next week's episode. It's like, she's now not, one thing, it's lying to Cameron to protect him, or to so-called protect him, but it's another thing when you're lying to your team, when Beth is actually in a way putting her credibility on the line with the team, when she's like, hearing you out saying, oh, what's wrong with Cameron, let's help him, what's wrong with Cameron McKent, and she just isn't going to give them a straight answer. She's lying. That's crazy to me, that she's lying for a person that barely she knows. It boggles my mind after all the shit that the JSA had been through, or her family had been through. And I love how the moment where, Sylvester is kind of like realizing he needs to be a role model, and he talks to Yolanda, he talks to Rick, he talks to Beth, and, he says to Rick, like Rick and Yolanda saying, like, how could Courtney, trust someone like that or whatever, and she's like, and not focus up on, that there's a killer on the loose, and then Sylvester's like, she... just let her be and let her find her own way with Cameron. Let her do her own thing. You know what I mean? Just let her do her or whatever.
let's just focus on let's not don't make the same mistakes that I made when we're just gonna judge people and stuff like that. You know what I mean? We could still have our guards up and stuff, but just let Courtney figure out her own way with Cameron. For instance, the moment where Beth's parents keep calling her and they find out that that the Crocs are trying to do their own kind of their own mission, trying to figure out who's the person killing people around Blue Valley. It's kind of they want to get involved as well, and then that's when Sylvester tells the story oh, my sister wanted to get involved, and Brainwave ended up killing her. And Dr. McNider got involved and his daughter died and stuff like that. It's we're he's saying you need to have a separate life where it's family does not get involved when you're Dr. Midnight. And that conversation that Beth had with her parents broke me, where Beth really was struggling, saying, don't call me when I'm Dr. Midnight. Don't call me when I'm doing Dr. Midnight stuff. You can only talk to me when I'm Beth and all that stuff. And it's her mom was crying, walking out with her husband, and that was that scene was sad to see that scene. And but Beth crying because it's the one time her parents are interested in her life, she can't have them involved, and that hurts Beth. She doesn't want to be that bad guy, but she knows that I don't want to have my parents die. I don't want to have someone close to me die. So I need to split the difference of you guys can't talk to me when I'm Dr. Midnight, and that really hurts her because they paid more attention to her when they found out that she was a hero. So it was really sad to see Beth do that. I really felt bad for Beth, but that's what she needed to do. And of course, with Sylvester telling Yolanda, you think that there's something up with Cindy, go follow that hunch, go check it out, see what's going on, see what you think is going on, go check out their place. And because you have your guard up, and that's good. Go check it out. If you have a feeling, if you have a hunch, if you have a bad feeling about something, go check it out. I love that he was telling them go head to head with what your problems are. Don't do this, because don't make this be a problem where you guys are all upset at Courtney for choosing a side or whatever. Let her do her, because again, this is one of those things where it's don't let Cameron be the one dude that Eclipso took over and the team splits up, and then you guys are never the same again, and that's how you guys can get yourself killed. I love that he was giving good advice and being that leader, being that role model. But Rick finding out from Sylvester that there is a 1 hour time 1 hour device that's in there that makes the hourglass stay an hour. He said if you take that out because maybe it's damaged, maybe, and then Rick's wait, does that mean that I might be able to do be Hour Man for more than an hour? And he's maybe the piece is probably damaged, take it out and see what, and then maybe the piece is damaged, but I don't know, Rex put that in there for a reason, so be careful when you take that out. And, he took it out and it actually ended up working. I think he is able to do it for 24 hours, not just an hour anymore, which that opens up so many possibilities of Rick's capabilities now, that it's not just an hour anymore. If it's 24 hours, it's anytime he needs it. And that's going to be freaking fire. The fact that he unlocked a cheat code, and that shit's going to be fire as hell when he fights up against Cameron whenever that happens. But honestly, I'm really curious to know where this is all going to go, because, by the end of this episode, we have Courtney and we have Cameron, and they're sitting in Courtney's sitting in Cameron's house, and they're thinking about, I guess, they were talking about, I think, places to go or whatever, or places that were cold or whatever. They were doing research, and he's how about since we can't go there, how about I bring it to you? And he makes her something. I forget what he makes her, a little I don't know, a little icicle or something like that. I think he was making her just a piece of ice or some shit. And then we see the grandparents seeing in the background of that, Courtney is kind of distracting Cameron from them trying to kind of control Cameron, and them trying to manipulate Cameron to do Jordan's mission, his father's mission. So it's Courtney is setting him off the path of where the grandparents are trying to put Cameron on. And it's I knew right away that they're going to tell Cameron that Courtney is the reason for, and her friends are the reason for his father's death. I think that's what's going to happen, because I feel like that's the only logical thing that will set Cameron off, or this would disrupt any hope of Courtney trying to help Cameron out and help get to the point where help get to the point of where she wants to tell Cameron, she probably will, that she is Stargirl, and if she tells Cameron not only that she's Stargirl, but tells Cameron that Rick, Yolanda, and Beth are all a part of the JSA as well, that puts them in danger. That's fucked. She has no right to be telling Cameron, about their secret identities and shit like that, and who they are. That's fucked. I hope she doesn't do that. That'd be the dumbest shit I think Courtney would ever do. But honestly, though, I don't like how I don't like how Courtney was lashing out at the team for them caring about somebody that she just met. And, you know what I mean? She had no right to be doing some shit like that. I understand that she, likes Cameron. I understand that she wants to save Cameron. But, like Cindy and everybody else is saying, it might be too far gone for him. Honestly, especially finding out about him having an obsession problem, essentially, and him being put in a facility and shit like that. And him us like seeing it with him being obsessed with Courtney with the snow globe, and him saying that weird line to her saying, "You make me feel whatever." I don't know. I don't like where this is going at all. It's just, it is literally playing around with matches, playing with fire around fireworks. It's not a good idea. And I think we're going to see that outcome keep going, especially in next week's episode, which I'll play the promo right here.
Courtney and Cameron are spending a lot of time together.
I'm trying to help him.
He is a threat.
No, he's not.
She's teaching a little psycho how to conjure up icicles.
Love can cloud your judgment.
You guys saw that, and I even told my sister that they're gonna find out somehow that they already found out that Cameron was involved. That's why Courtney's not in the right headspace and she's distracted. But when they find out that Cameron has the powers of Jordan, of Icicle, that's when they're gonna get really overprotective and try to probably take out Cameron, or probably try to tell Cameron to stay away from Courtney. And then that's when Courtney's gonna come as Stargirl and break it up between Rick and Yolanda. And hell, maybe Cindy trying to go after Cameron to tell Cameron to stay away, or maybe just Rick and Yolanda because they have masks on, and maybe he won't know that, that's Rick and Yolanda. And she'll get whiff of that probably from Cindy saying, "Oh, I told them," or whatever, and they're going after him right now, and this is to protect you. And she does the shooting star on Rick and Yolanda, and that's fucked up. She's gonna do that finisher move on her friends, on her family, over them trying to protect her and warn Cameron probably just to stay away. And they're not probably going to hurt him, but they want to warn him to stay away from her. And she'll fuck it up because he'll realize, oh my God, he'll say Courtney. And he said, if you're Courtney, this must be Rick and Yolanda. He might figure out their identities for her fuck up. I hope to God that's not what's going to happen, because we don't know what Cameron's grandparents are going to tell, Cameron now, to lead up to that moment. If that's what happens, he figures out their identities. They might tell him, like, "Oh, the JSA there was this group that killed your father," and he might see that group when Courtney pops up, and he finds out that's Courtney and that's Rick and Yolanda, and he might put the pieces together. That will be a shit show, and that will all be because, again, Courtney let her guard down and she wasn't thinking straight and she ignored her friends. I'm afraid to see where this is going to go. I don't think Courtney's in the right mind for this. And even Barb was saying, sometimes, being in love, clouds your judgment or whatever, or, you know what I mean, or something like that. And it's like, it is clouding her judgment of her, being in love with Cameron, even though, again, I just don't see you. It's your second year, and this is your first time really spending this much time with him. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of weird. Especially, I don't know, I feel like they have a reason to be protective, you know what I mean? And it's a fact of, again, if you really want to help Cameron, and you really think that Cameron isn't a bad dude, why aren't you telling Rick, Yolanda, and your team about him having abilities? Even if you personally think, that means there's something going on in Courtney's head where she feels like, even I think it's bad that he has powers, and that's why I'm not telling the team. Because I feel like that's when I'll agree with them saying that's bad or whatever. Or they, you know what I mean? It's like, that's why she's not telling them. Because I feel like even she knows that, like, she's not liking what she's seeing, that he has these abilities. And when she finds out all these other things, she's going to try to pull away. And then that's when he's going to go bad shit. I don't know. I just don't feel like this is going to end out going very well. end up going very well. You know what I mean? I just don't think it's going to happen. But I'm really curious to know, where do you guys think that this is going to end up? Do you guys think it's going to end up being good, or do you guys think this is going to end up being bad? I just can't believe she does that finisher move on Rick and Yolanda. That's real fucked up. And you know what I mean? That could hurt somebody. You know what I mean? That's an end finisher move. That could hurt somebody, and I hope it doesn't hurt one of them. And it kind of like, I think next week's episode is called The Betrayal, if I'm correct. I can't, let me check that, because I have IMDb right now. It's called, The Betrayal. And it's the betrayal of Courtney. Courtney's choosing Cameron over her family, over her friends, over her team. It's fucked up. You know what I mean? And even the fact of, like, again, when they were at I guess like a lunch date, Pat and Barb, and he was like, is there something going on with Courtney? And then Barb's like, yeah, it's a boy. She found a boy that she likes. And he's like, really? He's like, I wonder who it is. And then Barb is like, well, that's what we wanted her to do, right? Have a normal life or whatever, or have a normal life. Also then being Stargirl. And it's like, yeah, we want her to have a normal life, but not with somebody that's the spawn of literally a killer. A leader of a killing team. You know what I mean? It's like, it's bad. So it's like, I understand. I hope Barb doesn't kind of try to like defend the fact of when Barb and Pat find out that is Cameron. I hope kind of like Barb is kind of agreeing with Pat the fact that it's not a good idea. I'm hoping, she kind of gets that through her head, Courtney, because I don't see this going well. Where Cameron is gonna find out, he's gonna be like, oh, I'm cool with this. You know what I mean? Yeah, my dad was a monster. I don't see him agreeing with that. Hell, bro made a mural of his father. That sums it up right there. He's too far gone. Once he finds out that their reason his father died is curtains, he's gonna try to kill her, guaranteed, or some shit's gonna happen like that. Or I could see him accidentally killing somebody by accident, and that sets Courtney off, and it sets him to become a villain next season. I just don't see this where Cameron's not gonna become a villain next season. At least that's where I'm hoping it goes. Because if I'm being honest, the thing I was saying in my live stream is that the one thing that the show is very lacking is that we don't have the Injustice Society anymore. I'm kind of annoyed we only had one season, really, with the Injustice Society. Technically, really one season. I do think we need to get back to that, where it's like we have a villain group again. Because I feel like there's something missing in this world of that. You set this universe up where there's two teams that fought against each other. The main good team died, some members, and the bad team survived. And that was the whole entire first season where, like, the bad team was still going through with their mission. A lot of them die, a lot of them don't, a lot of them go to prison. Second season, new villain comes in, a lot of the old members come back to help out. And then now there is no Injustice Society, and there's some dude running around killing people. We need to get back where we start building up the Injustice Society again. And I'm hoping it would make sense character-wise if the son of... If the son of the leader of the Injustice Society starts up the new Injustice Society, it makes the most sense. It's like it got passed down to Cameron. It would make sense, especially because he really believes in what his father's mission was from what his grandparents were telling him. I just don't see this where it's like, I hope it's not, Courtney, you saved me. I hope it's not like that, because we need to see stakes in the show. I don't want the show to lose that, because that's what they had in season 1. That's what they had in season 2. I don't want it to lose that in season 3. And I think this will spice things up, where it's like Cameron, where it's like Rick and Yolanda and Beth and Pat and everybody's like, I'm sorry, but we tried telling you. And then Courtney's like, you're right. You know what I mean? We got to stop him and stuff like that and all that shit. I don't know. I'm just hoping we get to something like that, because I need something to spice this up. But I'm loving the show. Like, this episode was really like hit so many levels of like chef's kiss. It was badass. I loved this episode. It just hit so many like cylinders. It hit on all cylinders of everything that I wanted. I hope we can keep this up, and I'm hoping that we can bring Mike and Jakeem into the JSA at some point, so it doesn't feel like they're on a side mission and doing their own things, and it feels like we barely ever see them. On top of, we don't really much see Artemis. I don't know if anybody's pointed that out, but we really don't see Artemis. We haven't. And the fact that Cindy really isn't a part of the JSA as she was when she was staying at the table and she was actually showing up to, like, when they were going out to fight people, she's no longer a part of the JSA either. So it's kind of like, it's called frenemies, but why aren't we having these frenemies be in the JSA? It's like we started to see it, but it stopped. And that kind of annoys me. I hope we can get Artemis in there soon, because, I mean, we're already on episode 5 and we barely been seeing Artemis. It's weird. I'm just hoping that we can get to that and see Artemis be a part of the team and see Cindy officially be a part of the team. I want to see those elements where it feels like it's actually frenemies, and we can see this group become the new JSA, and then we see this new Injustice Society group come up with Cameron and who we might recruit and all that bullshit. Because I could totally see Cameron by the end of the season, him leaving Blue Valley, him going across the globe, getting people, and then coming back to Blue Valley winning the fight or some shit. I don't know, some cool shit. But great episode, guys. I'm really curious to know down in the comments below what you guys thought about this episode. Again, this episode hit on all cylinders. What was your favorite scene? What do you guys, do you have any more theories on what's going on with Cindy? Do you guys have any more theories on what's going on with maybe Sylvester and why he had that kind of, had that kind of outburst of, of rage and anger, you know what I mean? Like an anger problem, like a temper, like what do you think is going on with that? When do you guys think we'll get Mr. Bones in? When do you guys think we'll get Jade coming in? Because Jade's supposed to be like in one of these upcoming episodes. And why do you guys, and I'm curious to know, why do you guys think Jade's going to be coming in? Again, I said my theory in my pre-show live stream, so go check out why I think Jade's coming in. And also, yeah, like, I thought that was really funny also when, like, Cindy said no, or like, no, it was before they asked Cindy, and Cindy saved, Mike and saved Jakeem from those bullies and sent them on their way, and she walks down the hall, and Mike kind of, like, and it, like, she's walking in slow-mo, and it kind of has, like, Mike has a crush on Cindy. And that's actually funny. And like he has a crush on Cindy. I think he might have one. And to see where that will go, that would be kind of funny. But yeah, guys, yet again here, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, put those notifications, like this video. I'd love to have you guys here, part of the fam, part of the channel. All about spreading love, positivity, and motivation. Yet again, guys, we are almost to 600 subscribers. Right now, we're at 556 or 557. We're making moves, we're making strides, we're almost to 600. And yet again, guys, tomorrow is the big Daredevil episode on She-Hulk. It's She-Hulk episode 8. And then after tomorrow's episode, we only have one more episode of She-Hulk, so I'm curious to know how they're going to end this. On top of that, tomorrow night at, well, technically it's Friday at 3 a.m., I'm going to be doing Werewolf by Night drops, and I'm going to be doing my non-spoiler review. I'll drop that at 9 in the morning on Friday, and then my spoiler review, I'll put it up later in the day with my bro Troy, because I'm doing my spoiler review with him, and I'm also going to, me and him are going to go to the mall and brainstorm a couple of ideas of what he wants his YouTube channel to be, because he's going to be starting up a YouTube channel. So I'm super excited for that, because I helped make his outro, and I'm really curious to know what he wants his channel to be, and I'm really excited to help him on his journey of where he wants to go, and what his vision is of where he wants to go in life and shit, and what his goals are and stuff. To achieve greatness, and I'm really happy to help him with that, because I'm on my road of achieving greatness and achieving my goal and achieving my dream of making this one of the biggest YouTube channels on YouTube, and really give everybody that message that I have of spreading love, positivity, and motivation, and showing people that you can follow your dreams. Anything is possible. Don't let anybody tell you can't, because they're bullshit. If they tell you can't follow your dreams, because you can, anybody can. And that's what I spread here, is love, positivity, and motivation. And I'm so glad I'm going to be helping my bro, with his dreams, and his goals. I'm super excited to help him with, where he wants to go in life and shit. So, but yet again, guys, that was the video. I hope everybody has a great day, a safe day, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday for episode 6 of Stargirl. Peace.